A warm welcome to Eye on Africa. These are the top stories on the continent. Nigerian activists take to the streets across major cities calling for more to be done to find the Chibok girls. This as the country marks 3 years since they were first abducted. An Ivory Coast court sentences 6 ex-soldiers for the abduction and murder of 4 people from the Novotel hotel back in 2011. The presidential guard under ex-President Laurent Gbagbo is to serve 18 years. And with preparations for the World Athletics Championships well underway, we speak to Hamad Kalkaba Malboum, the president of the Confederation of African Athletics. But first, Nigerians have been marking 3 years since almost 300 schoolgirls were abducted from the town of Chibok by Boko Haram insurgents. Well, across major cities, activists from the Bring Back Our Girls movement urged President Muhammadu Buhari to take greater strides towards releasing the nearly 200 schoolgirls who are still held captive. Well, last October, authorities announced the release of 21 girls following negotiations with Boko Haram. No one has been freed since then, as France 24's Laurent Gbagbo explains.
Rallying to mark the 3-year anniversary of a national trauma and to send a message that Nigeria hasn't forgotten the Chibok girls.
The reason we have gathered you here today is the profoundly shocking. It is 3 years today, and 195 of our daughters are still with the abductors.
The abduction of 276 schoolgirls by jihadist group Boko Haram in April 2014 had sparked international outrage and led to mass protests under the slogan "Bring Back Our Girls." 57 abductees managed to escape after the kidnapping, and another 21 were freed in October 2016 following negotiations between Boko Haram and the government. Yet many Nigerians accuse authorities of not having done enough to secure the girls' release.
What stops the Nigerian army? What stops the Nigerian police? What stops all those people who are in one type of uniform or another bringing back our girls?
Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, who had vowed to free the Chibok girls, said in December Boko Haram's defeat was imminent. Yet despite being pushed back in recent months, the group has remained active in the country's northeast, where it continues to regularly carry out suicide attacks and large-scale kidnappings.
Tanzanian officials say gunmen have killed 8 policemen during a roadside ambush in the east of the country. Authorities say the officers were attacked in the coastal district of Kibiti as they returned from a patrol there. It's the latest in a series of killings targeting politicians and security officers. 3 policemen were killed in a separate attack in the same area last month. To Ivory Coast next, where a court has sentenced 6 ex-soldiers for the kidnapping and murder of 4 people from the Novotel hotel in Abidjan back in 2011. Well, General Bruno Dogbo Blay was the then commander of the elite Republican Guard under ex-President Laurent Gbagbo. He's to serve 18 years behind bars. The killings took place at the height of the country's violent post-election dispute. Simon Harding has this report.
Their sentences are severe, but not as tough as those demanded by the prosecution. 18 years for General Bruno Dogbo Blay, the former chief of the Republican Guard and a key figure in the Laurent Gbagbo regime during the post-electoral crisis in 2010-2011. 20 years for a police commissioner accused of murdering one of the 2 French captives, a verdict criticised by the defence's attorney.
We still don't know who killed who. For us, it's a failure for the Ivorian justice system. There have been sentences to please some people, but can you tell me who killed these 4 people? We don't know. It's a true failure.
On the 4th of April 2011, at the height of the post-election troubles, anti-French protests shook Abidjan. A commando penetrated the Novotel hotel and kidnapped 4 people, including 2 French nationals. The hotel manager, Stéphane France Diripel, and Yves Lambellin, the CEO of the biggest agricultural industry of the country. After 6 years, the outcome of the trial is a relief for the families, even though some details remain a mystery.
We will never know why they went to take them at the Novotel, why they were tortured, killed. and where the bodies were discarded. What we do know is that someone was responsible, and that justice has prevailed, and that justice has the power to appease pain.
The investigation found that the 4 captives were taken to the presidential palace where they were tortured and brutally beaten. Yves Lambelin's body was the only one to have ever been formally recognized. The death of the other 3 victims was established thanks to witnesses.
In South Africa, a vote of no confidence concerning President Jacob Zuma has been postponed until early May. But civil society groups say they're not backing down in their calls for him to resign. Now, an initiative by Save South Africa has seen hundreds take to the streets to denounce what they say is corruption and bad governance. Our reporters Caroline Dumais and Stefan Carstens sent us this report.
Bikers, bishops, young and old, all those who want to protest against bad governance are free to join Save South Africa.
I am representing myself, my family, my children, the generations to come to fight against this continuous corruption conducted by one person and his cabal.
This recent show of force from civil society was quite surprising, especially in Cape Town, where streets are usually quiet. The wind of revolt seems to be blowing.
And I also want to say to you, comrades, that this march today, as magnificent as it is, will not bring the change that we want. We have to roll up our sleeves and work and mobilize, as many of you did back in the 1980s.
A people united will never be defeated.
A people united will never be defeated.
Save SA relies on volunteers like Maisha, a writer who decided to spend the next few weeks helping to mobilize. These activists want to capture the mood of the people. They were shocked to hear President Jacob Zuma say their movement was racist.
And the masses of people should not be dissuaded by that, by the utterances that continue to say that this is a white monopoly capitalist agenda or regime change. It is none of all those things.
No segment of society is forgotten. Black ribbons will be distributed to 25,000 runners participating in this weekend's high-profile marathon. Athletes are invited to wear these armbands to say no to corruption.
It is a very strong, very good initiative, really. It shows that we really mean business.
The more awareness you create, the better, I suppose.
I'll wear one for you.
Save SA will continue its action until Parliament reopens early in May and organise a motion of no confidence against President Jacob Zuma.
Now, in August of this year, the finest athletes from across the globe will descend on London for the World Athletics Championships. A number of top African athletes will be vying for several medals in the Games. Earlier, I spoke to Hamad Kalkaba Malboum, the president of the Confederation of African Athletics. I asked him what the continent's doing to tackle the worldwide problem of doping.
In Africa, as I used to say, we don't have the know-how, we don't have the laboratory that could make these doping substances. So if some of our athletes are really targeted or found guilty to that point, it is not the responsibility of the African people. It is mainly maybe the foreign coaches, and I think it is mainly the fact of the managers who are using the athlete for their own interest, because the athletes are running, getting money, and then they share the money with the managers. So
how can African athletes be supported by this? Because if coaches are essentially leading them up the wrong path, what can the CAA do to prevent that?
But I think the most important percentage of our athletes are not found guilty for doping. So few of them. This is the life. It's people who decided to cheat or to do wrong things. The community is like this. But I don't think that this is the most important thing for us. The majority of our athletes are clean athletes.
Well, there you have it. You are very much up to date. Your Eye on Africa team is back in about 45 minutes' time. Do join us then.